Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything.
Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. To their credit, I guess, for the better part of the last 10 years, Nike has pretended to believe in something. Key word, pretended. They noticed what they thought was momentum building around Colin Kaepernick. Hey, it's me, Colin! They noticed what they thought was sympathy being given to the doofus who traded in his helmet for a set of knee pads and began kneeling for the national anthem. Instead of focusing on selling shoes, Nike dedicated their brand to preaching the good word and spreading the woke faith. They dipped their logo in the rainbow. They committed themselves to the fight against mythical racism. How dare you say racism is fake? Racism is real! Yeah, but the racism that Colin Kaepernick and his pretend friends in the mainstream media were fighting, that particular racism was created, hence the term mythical. 10 or so years ago, Nike decided to rebrand. They decided to freshen things up. We grew up with Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant being the face of Nike, but the kids in Gen Z, they grew up with Colin Kaepernick, whose biggest accomplishment in his brief NFL career was his losing record, and Meg Rapinoe, whose biggest accomplishment was being the inspiration of prepubescent boys. This woke rebrand, it had a devastating impact on Nike. 5 years ago, Nike stock, it was trading for $161 a share. Today, Colin and Meg, they have that number down to a cool $45. Nike stock is down almost 70%, which is a $200 billion loss in valuation. Basically, Nike has lost 70% of its value since they decided to embrace the woke wiener. This year, Nike has laid off 2,000 people, but that's okay. 4 years ago, a hero came along. It wasn't a man in a thong. It was a white girl with blue eyes playing for Iowa Hawkeyes. And Nike would be rescued by a girl named Katie Rue. But the problem with this theory, Katie lacked diversity. 4 years ago, while Caitlin Clark was still playing at Iowa, she signed an NIL deal with Nike. 2 years later, they ratified the contract. Nike signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year contract worth $28 million. Uncle KC, if Nike signed the Great White Hope 4 years ago, where in the hell is her shoe? Yeah, that's what everyone has been wondering. With Nike losing billions, with Nike going through massive layoffs, all while having the most valuable cash cow in sports on their roster, Caitlin Clark has essentially been buried by Nike. But this October, finally, Nike will be releasing Caitlin Clark's signature shoe. But there's just one problem, one tiny problem. Nike is releasing this shoe 4 years too late. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. So I want to get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Sugar Mountain Trading. Glenn is one of my longtime viewers, been watching me here on the channel for years. Several months ago, strained his shoulder while picking up his dog to take her outside. He thought the pain would go away, but weeks later, Glenn still dealing with shoulder pain. Tried over-the-counter meds, but they were doing nothing for him. Like most of my daily viewers, Glenn had been hearing me talk about the efficiency of the CBD from Sugar Mountain Trading for a couple of years now. So, a few weeks ago, Glenn orders his first bottle of CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain. He applies the lotion to his shoulder. Several minutes later, Glenn's pain gone. I have got countless stories from viewers, friends, family. They all tell me the same thing. They cannot believe this stuff actually works. There is a reason Sugar Mountain Trading has been with me here on the channel for almost 2 years now. My audience, you guys, you keep buying their CBD because you know Sugar Mountain Trading is the real deal. With Father's Day coming up, I cannot think of a better gift for dad. If your dad is anything like mine, he likes to keep moving, he likes to remain active, but at 75 years old, dealing with pain, it can prevent him from remaining active. I cannot think of a better gift than alleviating dad's pain with the CBD from Sugar Mountain Trading. All CBD products offered at Sugar Mountain Trading, 100% natural, 100% free of THC. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my Father's Day promo code, BTLDAD, BTLDAD. Save 30% off your first purchase with Sugar Mountain Trading. Headline at ESPN. Caitlin Clark's shoe is here. What took Nike so long? This was a brilliant article by Dan Wetzel at ESPN. For those of you who are wondering, this is what Caitlin Clark's shoe from Nike looks like. But the shoe, the design, that is not the story here. The real story is, why in the hell has it taken so long to get it released? With the NBA struggling to produce mainstream stars like they have in the past, with America clearly rejecting Colin Kaepernick and Rapinoe, the stars Nike chose to be the face of their brand, with Nike losing 70% of its value, why have they spent the last 4 years essentially burying Caitlin Clark? I'll be honest with you, before Dan Wetzel published this article last night, I had forgotten that Caitlin Clark even had a deal with Nike. It's like they signed her, gave her millions of dollars to do nothing, just so none of their competitors could sign her. Unfortunately, we don't know the reason that Nike has buried Caitlin Clark. ESPN asked them for a comment for a reason, but Nike failed to provide one. So we can only speculate, but I don't think it takes a graduate degree from woke U and race relations to figure out the reason. I think Nike was hesitant to promote Caitlin Clark because they were afraid of being accused of mythical racism. 2 years ago, when Nike announced they were giving Caitlin Clark $28 million, jealous WNBA players were outraged. This isn't fair. Our league of marginalized players has been ignored for decades. As soon as a white girl enters our league, Nike gives her millions. What about us? What about the marginalized? Instead of standing on business, instead of making money, Nike decided to appease entitled WNBA players by rushing the release of AJ Wilson's signature shoe. Just think about that for a second. A struggling company prioritized a relatively unknown player over a guaranteed cash cow because they were afraid make-believe basketball players would accuse them of make-believe racism. Nike made the one mistake that you cannot make as a business. Instead of making a logical business decision, Nike made an emotional decision. Hell, for the last decade, Nike has been making emotional decisions. Now that they are finally thinking logically, now that Nike is finally releasing Caitlin Clark's shoe, it's 4 years too late. She is starting to decline from her peak in popularity. How dare you say that about my boo? I will not stand for this blasphemy. No one is allowed to criticize the great white hope. I will defend my lady's honor. Um, Calm down, Sparky. No one is criticizing Caitlin Clark. I have noticed this trend recently with some Caitlin Clark fans, not all, but some. Anytime you go against the narrative that Caitlin Clark is perfect, anytime you go against the narrative that she is the biggest star in the country, you're instantly attacked by her defenders, which are mainly dudes. You can bury your head in the WNBA dump and pretend that Caitlin Clark is still at the apex of her drawing power, but the data says differently. We'll be talking about this later today, either on the second channel or I might make it the second topic here on the main channel. Caitlin Clark isn't anywhere close to leading the WNBA in all-star voting, and these votes are cast by fans. The Indiana Felines are struggling to sell out home games. Her games, they no longer feel as important and no longer feels like must-see TV. I have seen some of my colleagues here on YouTube who I would describe as Caitlin Clark fans. I'm seeing some of them complain about her games being boring. I'm not saying that Caitlin Clark isn't the most popular player in the WNBA. Hell, that should be obvious. The WNBA is a league of unknowns. You could put Jim Kimmel in the WNBA and he would be the most popular player in the league. I'm not saying that her shoe is going to struggle to sell. I'm sure Nike will sell out a Caitlin Clark shoe the first day they're on sale in October. But there is no denying the fact Caitlin Clark's drawing power is descending. Doesn't mean she can't recover. Doesn't mean she's on her way to being unknown. But the magic that she had 2 years ago, that magic has vanished. You know, Michael Jordan was drafted in April of 1984. 1 year later, Nike released the first pair of Jordans. With Caitlin Clark signing with Nike in 2022, they had the opportunity to release her shoe in her rookie season. At the latest, they could have released it last year. But because they were afraid of backlash, because they feared accusations of mythical racism, because they were thinking about the feelings of WNBA players, Nike chose to bury Caitlin Clark, and they are finally releasing her shoe 4 years too late. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.